Welcome, everyone. I've got to tell you, I am absolutely pumped to guide you through today's explainer. Because, well, we're looking at the ultimate story. And it's not just some abstract, dry history lesson. It is literally our story, the story of all of us. Today, we're going to completely reframe human history. We'll dive into the source material to uncover exactly how we went from being, just another highly vulnerable animal on the food chain to becoming something entirely different. When you really break it down, it's a journey that completely defies logic.
I mean, seriously, at what exact point did a frightened primate become the architect of the universe? Just let that sink in for a second. It's a staggering thought, isn't it? Go ahead and forget that standard, boring timeline of dates, kings, and ancient battles you had to memorize in school. We're actually going to skip the usual agenda today because we need to get straight to the core of this mystery. We are talking about a biological and technological leap of just unimaginable proportions. How on earth do you even map the distance between hiding in the dirt and charting the stars?
Okay, let's dive right into this extreme juxtaposition. Picture the African savanna tens of thousands of years ago. We were literally running for our lives, constantly looking over our shoulders, just trying not to be dinner for leopards and other apex predators. We were weak, we were slow. Now, slam that reality right up against our futuristic, godlike present. Today, we aren't just surviving, no, we're actively editing our own DNA. We are rewriting the biological code of life itself. The sheer contrast between running away from predators and acting as genetic architects is, well, it's almost unbelievable. It really begs the question, what was the catalyst that pushed us from point A to point B?
Which brings us right into part 1, From Apes to Gods, the Rise of the Most Dangerous Species.
How the most insignificant animal took over the code of life. Now, if an outside observer were looking at Earth a few 100,000 years ago, analyzing all the megafauna and giant predators, there is absolutely no way they would have placed their bets on us. Our current planetary dominance would have seemed entirely unthinkable. We were literally just a footnote in the ecosystem. Yet, here we are. And I use the word dangerous very intentionally here because it reflects the sheer magnitude of our dominance over the natural world. We didn't just adapt to our environment. We conquered it, bent it to our will, and we made it ours. We're literally holding the actual blueprints of biology in our hands.
And it goes so much further than biology. We aren't just mastering ourselves. We are mastering the cosmos. We're currently sending probes outside of our own solar system. Think about the Voyager probes, carrying those golden records out into the interstellar medium. The exact same species that used to cower in caves, absolutely terrified of the dark and the shadows, is now casually and confidently extending its mechanical reach into the deepest, darkest unknown of the universe. The chimpanzee that once looked up at the stars is now physically reaching out and touching them. It's wild.
So, how did we actually pull this off? Let's uncover the invisible superpower in Section 2, the human network, 200,000 years connected.
Now here's the real kicker. It wasn't just having big brains. It wasn't just having opposable thumbs or finally walking upright. There's this invisible internet that existed way before modern technology, and this completely flips our modern perspective. We love to pat ourselves on the back, right? We think that hyperconnectivity was just invented a few decades ago by some brilliant coders in Silicon Valley. We naturally equate the network with smartphones, Wi-Fi, and fiber optic cables. But the source material shows us that the reality is entirely different. The true social network, the original web, has actually been running and processing data for a very, very long time.
To really grasp this, we need to define exactly what this ancient network is. It's a superorganism, an entity formed by humans operating together through an invisible network for millennia. You see, we aren't just isolated individuals wandering the planet making all our own independent choices. Honestly, we never really were. You and I engaging with this explainer right now, we're just the latest, highly updated nodes in an ancient continuous network. For hundreds of thousands of years, we have operated as a single massive superorganism, sharing our collective processing power just to survive and thrive.
Just think about the scale of this. Over 200,000 years we've been transmitting stories, myths, warnings, survival tactics. For millennia, viruses and pathogens have traveled along these exact same biological paths, spreading across the superorganism. And for centuries, we've been transmitting incredibly complex ideas. I really want you to think of those ancient trade routes, like the Silk Road, and even prehistoric cave networks, as our very first analog fiber optics. Long before copper wires and satellites were even a thought, these invisible filaments connected populations across the globe. They allowed critical information and biology to flow seamlessly across the human network.
But you gotta wonder,
What happens when a network this powerful runs for this long without interruption? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the ancestral algorithm, and how the past predicts our end.
Written in stone 5,000 years ago, running today on your screen. So the crucial point here is that human history is not just some random collection of isolated events, wars, and inventions. It's actually a highly structured system. This ancient algorithm isn't just dusty history locked away in a museum display. It is active. It is actively running right now. It's the underlying code that powers our modern societies, dictates our global economies, and fundamentally drives the technology on the very device you are using to watch this explainer right this second.
Let's look at the data. Whether we're analyzing the fall of ancient empires like Rome or modern global economic collapses, the causes are entirely repetitive. Empires fall for the exact same reasons: overextension, resource depletion, internal division. Economies collapse under the exact same mathematical formulas of debt and speculation. We really love to think of ourselves as incredibly unpredictable, highly complex modern beings, but history shows us functioning as a very precise mathematical algorithm. The superorganism is running the exact same code, executing the exact same loops over and over and over again throughout the millennia. And when you treat all of human history as a recurring algorithmic cycle, a clear, undeniable pattern emerges from the noise. The data says we are approaching the final loop. I mean, think about it. The cycles of innovation and collapse, they're accelerating. The human network is becoming tighter, faster, and infinitely more volatile. Our incredible journey, from frightened primates hiding out on the savanna to the godlike architects of the universe, has followed a strict mathematical trajectory. And all the data points suggest that this trajectory is reaching a highly compressed, absolute critical point.
Which leaves us with one final, lingering thought to process. What exactly awaits us in the final loop of the algorithm?